All right, this is the Psychotic Strength Podcast. This is Tyler Townsend.
And this is Ramona Locken.
All right, it's the 8th of January. This is the first one of this year. I'm actually going to have to change the season. I put it season 3. This will be season 4.
Wow,
first
season
episode.
4. Yeah, 1 week into the new year.
Yeah, you're on the first episode of season 4.
Okay,
Congrats.
yay! Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
It's exciting.
It is. So the topic today is going to be you. You're a coach, an amazing real estate coach. You've coached me quite a bit as well, at least when I was most successful. So that says something.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, get back in to see me. That's what that says.
Absolutely.
Because you're on a great trajectory upwards right now.
Right. So I definitely need to keep that trajectory headed in the direction it is.
Yes.
So we're definitely going to talk a bit about that. First thing we're going to hit is gym update, like always.
Okay.
And so for me, I'm still coaching, doing really well. My gym part of it is struggling a bit. I have a couple injuries I'm dealing with. I got tennis elbow in this elbow at the moment, and then I have just a rotating shoulder injury on this side, which is I went to do pull-ups yesterday, and I got like 2 before I had to just let go, and it was horrendous. Like it is a lot of pain.
Yeah, that's no fun. I, too, have been struggling with a left knee injury, and I don't know what it is. It's not skeletal. It's something soft tissue, but it's a lot of pain. And so my gym update, I was at the gym yesterday. I try to go a good 3, 4, 5 times a week. I know that sounds... But it all depends on my knee injury and, and what's happening with that. So that, it's frustrating when you don't know what's happening. And it's like I couldn't even carry the I'd like to hit free weights. That's my favorite. And some machines, but I follow the path that my personal trainer put me in. You warm up for the first like 6-7 minutes, and then you kind of stretch, and then you hit weights. And this year I started hitting the weights even harder, to just gain that muscle strength and bone density that will help me as progressing in my in life and so I've noticed yesterday with my knee carrying those weights back to the bench was a little hard. So I was going
I like
machines.
that you put out there that your personal trainer. Now for people who can't see Ramona, very nice build. Right?
Thank you.
You were, what was it, Miss Vancouver or something? Miss Washington?
Yeah, Mrs. Clark County.
Mrs. Clark County, right?
Yeah.
I love to point out the fact that people, especially ladies, get very upset about, well, I don't want to lift weights. I don't want to be all bulky and gross, right? I don't want to look like a man. Well,
you're not going to look like a man.
Right.
Yeah,
unless you have a certain amount of testosterone in your body, which is usually synthetically put there, you're not.
That is something that my naturopath physician, there's DHEA, which is the pre-compound, and I by no means am any expert on this, but it's a pre-compound that creates testosterone, which supports all the other hormones in our body, and it's very important for our memory, for our drive, for our ability to lose weight, for our ability to regulate all the other hormones. So as a woman, and a man, we need all the hormones, and it's keeping them in check and balance. And so that was something she explained to me, that the importance of weightlifting as a woman is it creates that healthy bone density that we need. It builds our muscles so that we have the strength. It helps with our memory. It helps with all those other things that we need as a woman. So,
right, and as a woman, you're going to grow muscle differently than a man would because you're a woman.
Yeah.
So so these women that they look up to, like J-Lo and like all these like these beautiful bodied women, right? That like besides the fake stuff they put in their body, they are working out with weight. They are, because that's how you get that leg toneness, that upper body toneness. It doesn't mean you're going to get huge, and it's really frustrating that a lot of women think that. And powerlifting is actually an amazing way. What's that? Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the main chick, right, the dragon lady. I didn't watch Game of Thrones either. Game of Thrones either. She was a powerlifter for a long time. So her body, the way she looks, is from lifting heavy. Yes. And everybody's like, I don't want to look all bad. Like, no, that's how you get the body you're looking for.
Right.
Is lifting weight.
Yeah, I heard this thing years ago that muscle burns fat. So you build muscle, so it eats the fat. It doesn't take away from the cardio. We still need cardio. And I think on the opposite side of what you're saying, where women are afraid to do heavy lifting, a lot of the men that are power lifters that I know, they're afraid to do the cardio.
Right.
And I tell them, cardio is not a four-letter word. It can be your friend. You just have to do them both in unison with one another in a way where you're not burning up your muscle, your cardio, so that you have that healthy heart, and it's really good for your brain to do like a brisk walk or a light run. About 20 minutes in, the brain activity of what it does is really beneficial, and you start getting ideas and clear thoughts. And that's why if you just like if you're struggling with a problem, like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this thing, or I can't figure out the solution to whatever you're facing, just go for a really brisk walk for about 20-30 minutes, and you'll start getting ideas. So cardio is really good for you on many levels. It's just that's not what is going to change your body. What's going to change your body is that lifting of weights.
Right. And it is, that's one of the main reasons powerlifters, like, they don't do any cardio whatsoever, right? They just don't. It's the 3 static lifts. It's your squat, your bench, your deadlift. That's it. That's all they work on. That's all they ever do. That's why they get like that power belly. That's just like this big belly. They're very strong.
Oh, sure.
But they have nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then strongman I appreciate a lot more because it's very functional strength. We do a lot of walking movements as well. Like we're picking things up and walking with them. We're picking things up and moving them,
Oh, interesting. So you get that full body.
It's full body. So if anybody wants to be successful at strongman, which is, I teach this in my class, which you need, I don't want to say an extensive cardio background, you need that endurance training. The guy who's won the world's strongest man is a 6-foot dude with abs, and he looks amazing. And you know what he's doing? He's running to everything. Running.
Yeah. Well,
Whereas strongman, the old school version of it is you're just this gigantic blob of a human.
Yeah.
Where it's completely changing right now. The whole sport's evolving.
Yeah. Interesting.
You need it all
Yeah.
now to be the strongest man in the world. Because this guy sometimes he's beating people because he's getting to the elements faster. That's getting him 4 seconds ahead of this guy who walked to the next one.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the cardio he doesn't have the ability to run.
Right.
It's not his muscle memory. It's not what he does. So.
Right. He's so big that he cannot breathe.
Yeah.
Because of his walking like that. So I've been big enough to where I was 320 pounds, and there was a lot of muscle involved, but there was also a lot of fat. And in that, I don't know why this is making noises. And in that, I couldn't breathe. I just could not. I could barely put on my socks. I could barely, if I'm being honest, I could barely wipe my own ass.
Yeah.
Because I was just so fucking
Your
big.
listeners probably love that. That's
the thing.
That's why they tune in here. So
right,
that's
I'm
awesome.
very open about it. Right? So it's just being that big is not fun. And I love what's happening nowadays. There's this guy Brian Shaw. He's one of the main. He's been strongman champion a bunch of times. He's even changed his entire body. He's 6'6" or some shit,
oh my goodness,
and around 400 something pounds. He had a huge gut because everyone thought that's what you needed to be this world's strongest man. He's lost all that weight and gained more strength.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's insane because people need to understand how well-rounded your body needs to be champion.
Yeah.
And how well-rounded your body needs to be fully mobile. You want to live a long, healthy, beautiful life, right?
Right.
You need that bone density from lifting weights. You need that work that your body needs to be put through in order to survive a lot of these things.
And it's interesting. I last weekend watched this documentary on, what was it called, The Secret Life of Fat, or something about fat, but how important fat is to our bodies. We don't want to be at zero fat. Even as ladies, we can't do that. It's not healthy for us. But there's everything in balance, and there's a healthy amount of fat. And they broke down how sumo wrestlers, you look at them, they're very big people, but their body, they don't have the fat on the interior of the body around their organs. There's no fat around their heart, their inner tissues, because they're working out 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
And they're very strong, but they have this extra fat because that's what they need for their type of competition. And yet there's certain things that they can't do, like what you were just saying, and that when they stop that exercise program, then they slip into a really unhealthy way of fat because that gets in and around their tissue. And so they were breaking it down, how you can be a really thin person, but have that inner fat around your heart and organs and still not really be healthy. So you need it's diet, it's exercise, it's the right type of exercise, it's weight training, cardio. It's being balanced in all of it, specifically for the type of sport that you're going after.
Right, and it's pretty crazy to think that everyone thinks like, oh, running a marathon is so healthy, all that other stuff. That is one of the most destructive things to your body.
Interesting.
To run that many miles.
That's why I don't do it.
Well, and the real marathon runners, the ones who are champion, are like little sticks.
Yeah.
Like running around, bloody nipples and everything.
Oh
like,
my goodness. Well, the first marathon runner died right after he completed his.
There you go. Like that just screams, don't do that to me.
No. But all things are possible though when you train for them, right?
Absolutely.
And when you put yourself in those daily habits, you can accomplish anything.
Well, and there's also a difference in living for longevity, right? And like stuff that I do. Like I do train my body past certain limits that people should. And that's definitely something I do consistently. Now that brings me to a point where I can do things that most people cannot. Like I was telling my class the other day, 5% of the entire population works out consistently. I'm stronger than probably 90% of those people. So I'm part of 1% of the entire population in strength.
Yeah.
I can walk into a Costco and be pretty damn sure I'm the strongest person in a Costco. On like a Saturday or Sunday. You know what I mean? And that makes me feel amazing. But I've also had to do things to my body that you probably shouldn't be doing. Right. Picking up 700 pounds on your body I've lost 2 inches of height since high school. 2 full inches now.
Oh, because of the compression.
Because of the compression of my bones, my joints, my spine, all that other stuff. I was 5'10" in high school. I'm 5'8" now.
Yeah, interesting. So it's the little things that you do every day that add up to the results that you're looking for. And I know you're going to get into why I'm here and who I am and all of that. But that, in a nutshell, we're talking about gym and what is it, the gym update. And,
right.
But it's what you're willing to do consistently day in and day out.
Well, it correlates. I do the gym constantly, so I use it as a reference point to everything. But it's such a good reference point.
It's relatable.
Like we're saying, like the everyday things, right? Mm-hmm. So our main topic is coaching, basically you. I'd love a little rundown of kind of who you are, what makes you who you are, and then I'd love to kind of jump into what you feel makes a good coach, because I wouldn't let somebody coach me that I didn't feel was a good coach, right? And I'm more than happy to have you coach me. Right? There's like 3 people in my life so far that I've trusted to coach me. And I trust
feel
you.
Honored then.
Well, you're the only one I've trusted with my business.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Okay.
There's been 2 other people that I trusted with my body. One was a mistake, and the other one is a phenomenal human being, and I'll always ask him questions. And he always has my respect for that. So let's get into that.
Okay.
Let's get into what makes you you first.
Okay. What do you want to know?
I would like to know, okay, let's start, let's do a brief young update, right?
Okay.
Where were you born? Kind of, how did high school stuff go?
We're going way back.
We're going all the way back.
Yeah, okay. This might get personal.
Well, these are all building blocks.
Yeah.
Right? Everything that has happened to us, everything that we've done makes us who we are.
That's so interesting, because I have a program that I take people through where they're finding kind of their superpower, is what I call it. It's finding what makes you you. And I take them back to when they were kids to examine, look at what did you do that was fun when you were young? What were you complimented on? Where did you find joy and stuff? I'm talking young, like 3, 4, 5, like grade school age. Yeah. And from that, you can pluck out things that you still love to do now, because at the core of who you are, it's who you are and what makes you you. And so doing that program this past year a few different times in classes and individually, I really came back and looked at my own life on a deeper thing. I did this and I looked at it, I was like, and then just thinking about it, I was like, I remember being really little and playing Office.
Okay. Okay.
I started working. So I was born in Longview, Washington, to a single mother who was very entrepreneurial. And I have older siblings, and so it's kind of a fun, little tidbit of a story. Both my parents are born on Christmas Day.
Wow. I
found out. This sounds sad, but I never knew my dad, but always had peace around that. I felt like God put this peace over my heart that, I was okay with that. I knew who he was. I just never had a relationship with him.
Okay.
And so my birthday's in October, and then I learned this about 8 or 9 years ago that given the time of year and when they met and their birthdays and the holiday season, that I'm their like passion baby.
Okay.
So I find it's a story that you weave around yourself, right? And so I always knew that I was loved, and I always knew that my mom adored me and cherished me, and I had a great stepdad and older siblings, and my mom was a social worker and did some pretty amazing things. Like she even ran for governor of Oregon one year, and
Whoa.
and she did some. We found out there's some other things that are kind of surprising. Like she was definitely a game changer for her time,
Okay.
and so as what that did is it instilled in me this desire, this she used to always tell me, you can do anything you want if you just put your mind to it.
Right.
Just you can do whatever anything you want, and
So real quick with that though, as a parent myself, I feel like walk the talk with
Yeah.
that, and like it sounds like your mom. That's what she did, and I always I love my mom to death, but my mom would say the same thing, but I'd always be like, you're always so unhappy, you always hate your job, you always do that other stuff, so it didn't make any sense. So as a parent myself, I've made sure that I'm like, you can do whatever you want. Now let me show you how.
Yeah, and expose them to the failures as well as the wins.
Absolutely.
Right. It's not just
They
always
come hand in
coddling,
hand.
and I got a little bit of both from
Right.
my mom and definitely my older siblings. And as much as my mom loved me, half the time I didn't really think my siblings enjoyed me being around. It's definitely the annoyance and on things. But
So were you the youngest?
I was second to the youngest. I have
Second to the youngest, okay.
a younger brother. But I was my mom's right. I mean, I would go. I remember going to the market. So we would go to. She had a craft store, and she was very creative. And so we would go and she would negotiate and buy goods for the store, and then you repackage. So you buy lots and then you repackage them. So I learned how to do that really young. By 10 years old, I could run the cash register and make change and like ring people out of the store. And it was just all this crazy experience that I had with her. And I guess when I was real young, when she was involved with politics, she asked me one day when I was, I don't know, mid-teenagers, she says, do you remember going to Salem down to like playing in the governor's office? And I'm like, no, I don't remember that at all. Yet it was something that I was exposed to. Yeah. And so that was kind of the foundation that has always kind of lived inside me. So my career path has always been one that's very entrepreneurial. That's, I discovered, I was 19, I was made a manager of other people at the cable office, and I think I had 5 employees underneath me at 19. Like, what are these people thinking? Yeah. And so that led me into a path and discovering sales. That's one way you can. I worked as an interior designer, and doing that I would rep a product. So I worked with budget blinds, and I would do windows, and then I would get to design people's homes through that. Or I did it with furniture, and then you get to design homes, but you have the sales side of, so you have that consistent income kind of thing. Right. And then somehow I was able to get into telecom. So I as a cable office, and then doing marketing and what else did I do? Their marketing and selling. We were laying cable in the office. This was like early '80s when cable was being laid into communities. So I had a team that I ran that we sold cable, and I had to speak about that. And then jump ahead probably 20 years, I went back into the telecom industry for business-to-business sales. And so this weird tech side of my brain that I had, and I became a certified as a Cisco router. Like, I could, IT specialist, but knew right away, like, okay, this, even though I have some kind of weird aptitude for it, I really liked people. I didn't like sitting in a room. So I knew that. So, all of that being said, at that time I had been married and I had children, and like many do, when you marry young, especially my high school sweetheart, we went through a divorce. And so I had to find a career that offered abundance and yet a flexible enough time frame so that I could take care of the kids.
Right.
And being in telecom, business to business, it didn't really allow for that. There was pretty definite set times I had to work. And so somebody said, well, hey, if you get your real estate license, I'll hire you. And that was something I was always interested in, didn't really know how to break into the industry. But when she said, I'll hire you, I thought, oh my goodness, how generous is that? She's so nice. She's so nice. She would hire me without knowing anything. So I got my Oregon real estate license, and this was in 2001. Got my Oregon real estate license and started working real estate. And that took me from her little one brokerage. I soon discovered that a single broker, I was making copies for her. I wasn't really learning real estate.
Right.
So I went to a larger brand, a large national brand, and that's where I got the mentorship and the training and the coaching that I needed to really launch into real estate. And
which is very important in this industry that people just overlook. They think
Yeah.
you're going to get their license and just be amazing.
No, there's such, as you know, it's there's a lot to it, and because you have to know how to do the business, and you have to know how to work on the business, as well as you have to know how to work on your own mind frame. And I remember when I first joined that firm, I was in my office and my desk faced the door, and there is a man who had been in business for a very long time at the time, and he popped into my office and, he said, welcome, it's nice to have you here. He goes, my bit of advice for you is for you to work on your business as much as you do in your business.
Wow.
And I smiled and I said, thank you, not knowing what he was talking about at all.
Right.
I was clueless. And this is before people had websites. Cell phones weren't really a thing. They were just coming out. I sold them in telecom, but most people didn't really have a cell phone.
Did they still have a briefcase with them?
A lot of them
Yeah.
did. You had hard file copies. You would carry paperwork with you to fill out, and press hard because there's 3 copies and that kind of thing. So it's when I first got my license, a lot of the other agents said to me, "You're so lucky because all the homes are now online."
Right.
Like we had those books before. So
I've heard about the books. I know nothing
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah,
I don't
it was-
understand even how it works.
well, it was like a phone book or any other kind of catalog, and I think it was every week they would come out with all the new listings that were input the week before. So by the time you got the book, the listings were old. Now, I didn't really experience that because just right before I came in, everything was put online. So I've always used the multiple listing service here. So,
Nice. Okay.
but yeah, it was really interesting. You'd flip through and try to find your clients a home with these books, and the information was held really tight toward the industry and towards the brokers. So anyway, seen a lot of changes since 2001, and
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think one of the things that helped me in my career is that I had a coach. I joined a company where there was mentorship, and then I had the opportunity to coach with, his name was Dave Dolaman, and for anybody who's listening, he was an amazing instructor, and what he set out is a foundation for many of the programs we see out there right now today. So he worked
Okay.
with the National Association of Realtors, and somehow, by the grace of God, I was able to coach with this amazing man. I still have a lot of his tools and stuff that I use with some of my clients.
Wow.
And so he was very instrumental as I moved forward. From 2001 to 2008, we know it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all, kind of
A
have.
giant dip.
Yeah, and off the cliff, and my coach, he said, this is what you need to do. It's like foot on the gas now, get back to basics. Same thing that we're saying now with the adjustments that we see now because of the interest rates. And I have to say, being a coach in working with people in many industries, getting back to basics is a really basic thing. It's
Right.
not just exclusive to real estate. It's, the gym. Like you have your
yeah.
basic work. A curl is a curl, right? You have an arm curl. You can hold it in different ways to get the muscle, but it's still you're curling your arms. You're bench pressing. It's still the same basic workouts.
Right.
You're just twitching it up or switching it up a little bit.
Right.
So anyway, so my business, like everybody's, dipped down, but I was able to come out of that really strong because of that coach. And so because of that coach, and I was growing a team, and I thought that was really cool. So I toyed around with that, but then I decided it was time to take it to the next level. So what I at the time could see, and this gets to your question, what makes a good coach,
Right.
is that there's different kinds of coaching.
Absolutely.
And I had the desire to really coach on a deep level, more than just the consulting type of coaching where it's, if you want to go get a listing, this is how many doors you can knock on, this is how many people you can call, this is the script you can say, now go do it and you too will find success. That doesn't speak into the mind block of, and the things that hold you back from doing those things.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't speak into your energy level or your attitude around doing those things.
Right, because I mean, I have a list of all the shit I could do to make me money.
And
that
you don't do it.
doesn't mean I'm going to do those things.
Right. And then if
why?
you don't, yeah, why? And so it was that space in between is where I wanted to coach.
Right.
And so I went to school, and I pulled back out of real estate. I went to school full time, and I learned the science of the brain and the body and emotions and habits, and I learned communication skills, and I learned leadership development, and I did all of this in a college format. So I earned undergrad, accidentally double majored as an undergrad,
Okay.
and then moved on with a business with an MBA, real estate focused MBA program, and then went into a national coaching certification program, and have just continued my
Wow.
education since then. That was when did I start that? I think that was probably 2010. So for the past 10, 11 years, it's been a lot of time, money, effort in developing what makes a really good coach.
Okay.
So to answer your question, long story short,
Yeah.
there's, a huge overview about me, but what makes a really good coach, according to the International Coaching Federation, is somebody, I as a certified coach believe that you know what you need to do already. It's not my job to tell you. I'm just a reflection or a container holder for you to discover what you need to do so that you can remove those blocks in order to get done what you need to get done.
Right.
So it's having a coach that person should see the power of who you are long before you can even see it yourself, and help you get there.
That's a very good point. I've actually dealt with a little bit. Now, some people listen to my podcast that this might hurt their feelings, right? But I've actually dealt with a few people, even friends, that have been lifting for about a year-ish, are very good at it. Do not get me wrong, they're absolutely amazing. They've done some amazing things with their body. They've done some amazing things. But now they're coaching. And I'm pissed. And I'm like, how dare you? And so that, of course, comes to what you view a coach being. I refused to coach for money for years. People would ask me if I would coach them. I no. You want to come and work out with me? That's fine. I'll teach you what I know. I'll help you out as much as I can. But I don't feel like I'm qualified to coach because of what I consider a coach to be. Right? I consider a coach to be someone who could teach you. You have a question, they're going to be able to answer that question. They're going to be able to get you past. There's a difference between being able to write a program, right? Anyone can write a program. I can go online and find a program. These are the steps you need to succeed. That's not what this is about. I need to figure out what is holding you back from completing these super simple things.
Right, and right back at you, because I would argue back with you, stepping out of coach mode,
Right.
as your friend, I would argue that you indeed are a coach. Being a coach doesn't mean that you have all the answers. It means that you are holding space for somebody else so that they can discover what their answers are. A consultant helps guide that person through with saying, here's a script, or here's how you hold the weight, and this is the bar path that you should take to get to that particular muscle, or whatever that space at being, and having the tools necessary to be able to guide that person through the two
Right.
of, here's a consultant, here's what you do, and here's a coach, okay, and just asking open-ended questions to help them see what they need to do, because those lessons stick deeper.
Right.
So I heard this analogy recently that if you were walking along a road and you were with a therapist, that's what it is. If you were with a therapist and you got to a gate and there's a lock on the gate, the therapist is going to ask questions like, well, who do you think put the lock on there, and how do you feel about this, and have you ever approached a gate with a lock in the past, and how did that make you feel, and do all this past look, which can be extremely beneficial for different things that you need to work on.
Right.
Like you need a whole team of people, right? Whereas a coach, you'll come across a gate and there's a lock on it, and they'll ask you, well, what do you think about this lock? What are some ways you think you can get that lock off? How can we get around this lock?
Right.
And so they'll get answers
is
out
this
of you.
even a door you want to unlock?
Right, yeah. And so it'll be answers that you come up with so that you can get over that lock and move on. Now, does it help heal past trauma? Not necessarily. That's where you might need a therapist.
Right.
Is it necessarily consulting? No, you might need a consultant to help you with things.
Right.
But neither of those things will help you if maybe, like you just said, you don't want to even get through that gate.
Right.
Maybe it's going down a road, you realize, I don't even want to go down there. So
that was kind of the point I'm getting at right now, which is I get really frustrated when people are just like, they've completed something and they're like, now I can teach others. Well, that's not, you haven't experienced what this even is yet. Like for lifting for me is a huge part of my life, and it's more than just picking up heavy weight. So a lot of the things I say, like in my class, people are like, well, how heavy should I go? How heavy do you want to go?
mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what are you trying to gain out of this? Like, are you trying to just be fit and be strong? That's fine. Then this is where you should be. Now, are you trying to compete and be competitive when
Right.
you compete? Because there's also people who just compete because they like it, and there's people who compete because they want to win. Right? So where are you at in this process? Like, well, do you think this is too much for me? Is it?
Yeah, there's no one simple answer.
Right. So
Yeah.
this is what I'm trying to explain to these people, and they're just like, well, I'd like to know the percentages I should be pulling, right? Well, for people who want to lift, I'd say 40%. People who want to compete, I'd say 60%. People who want to win, I'd say 80%. Now, my job here as well is, first of all, to get you through these barriers there's so many mental blocks in lifting as well. Like I just
Yeah.
had a guy who was scared as hell to pick up 475 on his deadlift.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he's pretty strong, right? And he's like nervous. Like he's like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, pick up the fucking weight. Like just get over there and do it right now. He picked it up for 5.
Wow.
Which-
yeah.
It was the most he's ever picked up before, and I was kind of like, you could have just did 2.
Right.
You
Now
know,
you're showing
like,
off.
well, it's not about you just showing off. Like
No, I
you
know,
did that for your
Yeah.
ego, right? And now instead of being able to, for sure you can pick that weight up. You've gotten past that mental block. Now we can pick up 500. I guarantee it. Well, now you did 5. Now your body can't do that. You physically could have if you didn't blow it because of your ego. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's helping a person all around determine.
There's so many
further,
different
yeah.
facets to being a coach, and I feel like if you've been lifting for a year, you don't even know what lifting is.
Yeah.
Like if you consistently do something, you're going to be pretty good at it.
Yeah, it's interesting because coach is such a broad, encompassing word, and I have a friend who is a therapist, and she often asks me, "So, what's the difference between you as a coach and me as a therapist who's had years of training?" And I was like, "Well, I also have had years of training. It just is different. I definitely don't diagnose anybody." She doesn't either. So there's also psychologists, right, who diagnose, and there's, as in your world, there's coaching, right? That's what you call like the football coach or the baseball coach, and because you're explaining how to do something, and then but you're also discovering where their limits are, what their desires are, what are their goals, their limitations, how to protect themselves. There's so many different types of coaching, and I'm with you. It's I would definitely view you as a coach. I would view somebody else who, maybe they're just a year into their, or so, into their weightlifting journey, and they're going to guide somebody else. as a coach too, because they're just a few steps ahead, but they can learn together.
So my theory with that is I feel like that's dangerous.
And there's in your world, in doing that kind of powerlifting and stuff, yes, it's hopefully people know what they're doing and and
Right.
all of that, because I too sometimes get kind of a deep breath or whatever when somebody they'll download an article off of Facebook and they'll rate it and they're like, oh, I'm a coach, I'm going to go help coach. I've had a couple friends do that, like, hey, I think I'm going to be a coach, I just took a test and they said that I could be a coach.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, that's great, and I by no means ever want to hold anybody back.
Right.
And like you've put in a lot of time and effort into knowing your craft and knowing what to do, and that quality is important to you. And that's what I hear you saying, is
Right.
like the quality of the industry is important to you. And for me and many other certified coaches, we feel the same way. It's like, the quality of what it means to be a coach is important to us.
Absolutely.
And, and so there's different levels or different things that people could do. And
Well, I just have a hard time with somebody doing that, right? Oh, I've done this for a little bit, and I think I know what I'm doing. When I say it's dangerous, I don't just mean physically, because it is in my industry. It very is, or it is, whatever.
Yeah.
So
I think we're
it
picking
is
it.
like that. But what I'm saying is, we've talked about how I coach and what I want to be as like a team lead, as a coach myself.
Yes.
And my goal is always to create the next generation of this industry, right? That's what I want to create. And whatever industry I'm in, whether it's, I want to create the next generation of strongmen, of powerlifters, of strength athletes. And to do that, you need to instill a certain mindset and understanding of this craft, right? And so what I find dangerous is someone who, maybe you are good at this for you, but can you teach all the people, or at least a couple different types of people? Because there's no one way to coach anybody. You can't just be like, this is the way to coach, it'll work for anybody. That's not how this works. And if you think it is, you need to readjust how you're doing it, right? But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is dangerous is you're going to coach these people, and maybe this person finds success. Well, it's not going to work for everybody, and you're going to constantly be putting out slightly maybe mediocre people. And those slightly maybe mediocre people are going to continue to grow. Every single person we touch in humanity creates, I believe, a ripple, right? And if you keep touching negatively, or maybe with good intention but without purpose, then that ripple isn't going to create good things. It's going to continue to ripple out in the wrong direction.
So it's interesting. The other day we were talking about this because you are growing a real estate team,
Right.
And what you had just said is it's creating that next generation of agents who will be working in this industry and beyond, and that conversation plus a few other ones last week is people grow. Like, you grow or you die. That's a law.
Absolutely.
Like, right, you grow or that's nature. There's atrophy that sets in. Either if you don't grow, it's atrophy, and entropy, I think is the word. Entropy sets in. So it's
Okay.
the
Atrophy
constant
is a body thing, right?
atrophy. Yeah, and is it entropy? Is like the constant state of decay. So
I don't
it's
know
either
big words.
you're either growing or you die. Like,
Right.
It's a law. So okay. So with that said, so I realize that listening to you just now that there's different levels of coaching, just like there's different levels as we grow through. And what if that newer person that's a year in, who's now coaching or helping somebody else, they're going to grow through that, and then the next phase will be somebody that they need, maybe like you, or that's somebody in between. That your level where you coach somebody for strongmen isn't maybe necessarily the new person getting in. Maybe it's somebody who's already reached a certain level, and then now they need you.
Interesting. I like that. I do like that, because that's what you're saying is, that's fantastic, because maybe these people who are a year in, maybe they can just pull someone into the industry, show them that they can do it, and show them that lifting is possible and that their journey is possible. Well, then eventually that person's going to find out, okay, well, I do need something more, and be able to upgrade and move up coaching as well. So that's a very good point, because I like that a lot. maybe
Yeah.
these people are there to bring people in.
There's space. There's space for everybody.
Right.
It's right. Otherwise, it's a very limited mindset, and and we talk about abundance, and we make at least myself. I know you do too. I strive to make decisions based on abundance and what's the next thing, because limiting is that's either grow or die, right? That's that die side of the equation. So
Right.
so if there's space for everybody, then it's not everybody in the same space. It's throughout a lifespan of whatever that is that people can live in and play.
No,
I don't know.
that's-
My inquisical face right now, they can't see.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's just it's very good, and every coach brings something different to someone's life as well. I mean, I've learned things
Yeah.
from many coaches that I've taken little tidbits and created who I am.
Right, yeah. Every coach brings something different to somebody's life, but everybody's life needs a different coach at different times.
Right.
So
That was cool. I like the way
yeah,
that
you
came out.
like how that.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so that's. Yeah, thank you. That kind of helps me too.
Well, yeah, but
as
I appreciate it. It
yeah.
opened my eyes a little bit to, instead of, I've been a little judgy, and a little
No, we
frustrated.
didn't pick that up at all.
Yeah, so I'm a little frustrated with these people because I'm like, I know what it took for me to even have the confidence to coach.
Right, but you're
And-
their coach.
Right. Well, also at the same time, maybe me coaching has upped their confidence enough to feel like they can do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who
Yeah,
knows?
and that's a beautiful gift, and
Why not?
yeah, and nobody does anything the same way.
Right.
That's swinging it back to real estate. At the very beginning, sitting in there was a big workroom with computers and printers and stuff, and I'd go in there to do my work and get some listings printed off, and there'd be one of the seasoned agents, and they'd be talking about their new listing, and I'd, oh, how did you get that listing? Oh, it was a referral. And they'd like hide their flyers, their stuff, and
Right.
and I was like, oh wow, it's so great, what they do, such a mystery and so cool, and I've eventually came to realize it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to do the same thing
Right.
the same way with the same people. So it doesn't matter. Share your coaching with them. Encourage
Right.
them to do something, because they're not you. They're not going to deliver it the same way. They're not going to have the same people. And there's more than enough people out there to work with.
Right. Absolutely.
And with that said, I do believe in some standards, and I do believe that there
Of course,
should be, a consistency of things. Otherwise, it can be dangerous. And
And I do got to think about it as well. When I was coaching for free, like just friends and family and stuff, I would always be up to do that. But maybe I need to understand the fact that maybe some people, and I'm going to cross my fingers on this, where they would do like I do, which is if you wanted someone to teach you how to stretch out and all that other stuff, I'm not good at that. And I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you, I'm not good at that. If you want to know like what stretches are good for certain things, I'll tell you what I do, but that may not be good for you, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hope that maybe these people are focusing on some things that they're amazing at. Like one of the guys, I had his wife on here. I'm going to call him out because, yes, I was talking about you, Dakota, a little bit. Because
Dakota.
he lost quite a bit of weight, so did his wife, and they did absolutely amazing. They're big on keto.
Oh.
That's a huge thing that they're focusing on. And the amount of weight he lost and what he's done to his body so far is phenomenal. But he's done a year journey into this. He's done 2 bodybuilding competitions.
wow, yeah.
And I always am a big fan of if you want to compete. That doesn't mean compete when you think you're ready, because you have to get your reps and competition in. I say this constantly. And he definitely wasn't physically ready for those competitions. Like he's not going to win. But the fact that he did them is absolutely amazing.
The
confidence it takes
experience
to
of
do it.
that. Yeah, the experience
Well,
of
the
it. you're
experience
gonna-
as well, like learning how to do that. I mean, he was learning up to day of competition how to still pose. And
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah.
oh my
yeah.
god, it's extremely insane. Like I'm
Yeah.
trying to teach in my class how to lat spread, because you need a lat spread in order to do some of these lifts correctly. And it took me probably about 6 years to figure it out. Now I was doing it by myself, and everybody's like lat spread, like this, right? Like you just tuck in your shoulders. No, like there's a literal way of being able to spread your lats to make almost like wings.
Oh my god, yeah.
And you use them as like a springboard.
Oh my
So
goodness,
you pull them back down on your bench, and then you flex them, and it shoots your whole bench off your chest. It's an entire technique of lifting, like that you have to learn, and you won't learn until you understand what lats are, and then you have to build them big enough to use. Like there's just so there's like
so much. There's so much.
But maybe his nutrition understanding and all that other stuff will get people to a certain level, and maybe he can grow maybe just a little faster than they are and keep these clients and do really well for them. And I know they're getting certified in a few things, and I think as a team they're working together. So I can appreciate all that. I do get frustrated because there are so many people who lift for a year, see some results, and like, I could teach you how to do that. And I'm like, oh, but can you do it safely? Can you do it correctly?
We see that in all fields, like, right? Where you can look at, name anything. We're talking weightlifting and real estate and coaching now, right? And we've seen that in all three of those. But from artists to whatever. So it's that I don't know if it's Jahar's window of knowing, or what it falls into with human nature as far as some of those things, but. I hear you. We have probably been there ourselves, where somebody else more seasoned looked at us and kind of rolled their eyes a little bit. And
well, people are still doing that to me. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and I've just now felt good enough to coach. And I've had someone be like, "You think you can coach people?" And I'm like, "Well, I can try, right?" Like it does feel bad to have someone to do that.
Yeah. So that touches on some limiting beliefs, some assumptions, some false beliefs that you may have and that's where a good coach helps dissect those, so that you can step in and go, yeah, I'm a coach, and this is what it means, and I'm certified in what's called an Energy Leadership Index, which is very scientific, and I have not spoke about it much because as soon as I got certified as a coach and did all that, I had a brand come and said, "Hey, can you launch this brand for us?" That was when I first met you. I had that brand, and so I really spoken about, okay, well, how do I represent this brand, and so for the past I've been in leadership within real estate for 6 years now, representing a couple different brands, and I'm just now going out on my own. I have a coaching company, and I do real estate. And so I'm really getting to speak into both those. So I say that because I realized I was kind of hiding behind brands. I'm the face for this company, and I need to match what their core values are. And now that's kind of away. And so, I can, if you look on my wall, my certification where I got is in energy leadership. And it sounds in energy leadership. And it's science behind it. There's a doctor who put this together, and the reason why I chose it is because in my path of learning, when I was 17 years old, one of my first motivational books, or I don't know what they call it, but it was Norman Vincent Peale, Enthusiasm Makes a Difference. Okay. And this little softbound book, and I lay in my bed at night and I'd read it, and I'd get up early in the morning so I can read it, and I just fell in love with this book. And it's a classic. It's like, Think and Grow Rich. It's like from that old thing. And so, jump ahead through the years, this energy leadership is Bruce Schneider's the one that put it together. He works with corporations, and it's really backed by a lot of science, like I said. And so it really gets into how you show up for something, what your attitude is like towards it, how are you going from like a victim mindset or being angry, and then you move up. And if you're taking, like where we are right now, there's one of the mottos is win-win or no deal, right? Right. So having that win-win-win, like win for everybody. There's a win for you, there's a win for me, there's a win for the listeners, there's a win for the community. Right. So taking it to that level, that's a different type of energy that you bring into the room when you're even in negotiations with real estate agents. I speak a lot about recruiting with leaders, helping them with recruiting. So it can't just be I'm winning. It can't be just that the agent wins. How do we both win, and how does the industry win from this partnership? with your buyers and sellers, how do you as an agent win? How do you help them win with your fiduciary responsibility? How do you help the other party win? And how do you help maybe the neighborhood and the community win with this? So when you take things up to that level and you're removing the blocks and the things that hold you back from doing that, then it's a whole different type of energy and actions and beliefs that you bring into the room and into the conversation. And not only do you see change and you see growth happen faster, but they're long lasting then too.
Right, that's real change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, so many things are going through my brain as you're talking there, you know? I mean, like, I don't know, like just so much. You've coached me for a while, right? And it's kind of been on and off, and it's been amazing. And it's always, you always open up my mind. That's why I like talking to you and working with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well,
like
it always,
likewise, you get me thinking too. It's encouraging.
Well, I always have these thoughts, right? Like the whole thing we were talking about. Like you asked me the question, I think it was yesterday, about just maybe the day before, but about well, what do you even want your team to be about? Like, what do you bring to your team as the value add, right? And I was like, man, and then I came up with the whole Triple T University thing, you know, like,
yeah,
and
right.
You're like, well, maybe you should do a syllabus, and and I was like, wow, like, what if we could create, instead of this like just everybody versus everybody, just dog eat dog real estate thing, like, there's so many deals out there, there's so many different opportunities, there's so many different types of realtor that are successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't we just create a space of learning and ability to teach other people and have other people teach us, and some sort of just brokerage really that is interested in creating amazing human beings that are out there helping other people become better and become profitable and all that other stuff. And it's interesting to think about that. Just like a whole university almost, you know. Like,
that's
just
brilliant. It's and I saw that too. You know, being in the room with you and the other person on your team. So and how you just instantly just asking those couple open-ended questions and then a little nudge, right? I just gave this because I was sort of like, oh, what if it was this, right? And so it wasn't really like a coaching, but I just used a coaching question, open-ended question, to get you guys thinking, and then just the energy in the room. That's how that energy in the room went up, and it was positive and it's growth-minded, and really cool things come out of it, and it's not an either or, it's a many ways of being, and then you choose and you move forward, and it just expands from there. So that's the tools that I have to coach, that I'll be able to speak into more, and that's as I work with my real estate clients, because now I'm doing that as well. I'm getting back into the production side of things instead of on the leadership side, and so as I work with my clients too, it's they're going through a change cycle. They're going through the way they're living, somehow it's something happened in their life, and so I've already started to use that kind of mindset as I'm working with them, to get them to think, it's just not four walls and a roof, but it's a lifestyle, and it's what does this mean, and what are my goals for life, and I don't know, just some really cool conversations have been happening already.
Well, from working with you for this amount of time, I've actually changed the way I deal with my clients as well. And it's the same thing I've been taking into everything, because I appreciate that you say that you feel like I am a coach, right? And I've actually been taking that role. I enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I'm turning it into other things. Whereas now, I have done this before, where I've taken a client, and it's usually, so far, it's been people that I take very good interest in, like friends or family or something of that nature. And they got like a 400 credit score, right? And this is what they're interested in, that and other stuff.
Your heart goes out. You're like,
Right. A lot of people will be like, oh, well, you're not ready. Let me know when you are. Well, that's not how I've been taking this approach. I've been taking, okay, let's talk to a lender. Let's pull everything. Let's see what you need to incorporate your situation. I worked with someone for 3 years, 3 friggin' years, to get him just to a point where he could purchase. And I coached him through the entire process. And right now we're dealing with like these interest rates going up. well, they came back down a little, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. Well, I need to coach my clients in understanding that this is an average. 6 to 8% is average.
Right, yeah.
Right? Yes, we're not in 2 to 3%, but that's caused by global economy crisis. Like, let's be happy we're not there at the moment. Yes, it kind of sucks for your purchase, but hey, let's get you into a home now. If the rates do go up, like you say they may, well, then you're locked in here, and that's fantastic. And if they go down, like you say they might happen, refinance, and you're off to a better start. Like,
you know what I love about what you're doing? Because I remember a client that you also worked with who, and forget, because I'm going to mess this up a little bit, but he was the first person to own a home in his family.
Yeah, that'd be Rob.
Like generational.
Yeah.
And what a difference in how he viewed himself. And so being a coach, it's helping guide them through on the consultative side of it, of what interest rates mean, and then you're coaching them, well, this is how you can dissect that and assimilate that, and how you feel about it, and how that impacts your goals for the future. But then to help them have a different identity as now wealth building, because they own a home, and that's a first step for longevity, and then if they have a 400 credit score, well, then what kind of identity are they carrying that caused them to have that 400 credit score? And what if they adopted a different identity where it was a 800 or what is it, 750 credit score, and making different financial choices? And that's what you're doing for people, which is really amazing. More than just the house itself.
Well, it's hard because this is all we're all talking about the same person right now. This is Rob, right? I worked with him for 3 freaking years, and honestly, the first time I talked to him, it was so negative. Well, my credit score sucks. Like, I couldn't do that. Like, I want a home so bad, but there's no way I could. My credit sucks. Yeah. And I'm like, everyone makes mistakes. Like, let's figure out how to fix this. Let's figure out how to get you on the path. Because if you're telling me it's not possible at all, I can tell you you're wrong. Right? So let's figure out what's necessary and what steps you need to take in order to get there.
That's awesome. That's so great. Yeah.
Well, it's hard. It's one of those where when I handed him keys, it was so amazing. Like, this guy is the first one in his generation to own a home. He's now setting a new standard. Right?
Yes.
Like in the next generation after him, the standard is, well, Dad did it. Right?
Yeah,
so, of course, we
yeah.
have to own a home. And then that generation is going to be like, well, maybe we should have a rental property as well. Yeah. Right? And that's where you start creating these ripples that create these positive moves. And it's just amazing for humans, you know, like to understand that process. And the hard part is that it really takes a certain type of person, which I learned the hard way, to create those type of ripples, right? Like, I had to check in with him every 3 months for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? Where are you at? How are you doing? Oh, well, man, like, I knew you were going to call me. And he's like, I was actually going to, like, refinance my car and, like, get a new car. He's like, but I was thinking, like, what would Tyler think if I did that? Like, it's like, I'm not judging you. Do what you got to do, right? But, like, if you want to move up, right, maybe refinancing your car now instead of purchasing a new one is the move you want to make, because you want that home, right?
Yeah. So that's so good, because you're building relationships along the way,
right?
And
well, and I've gotten a couple of sales from him, because when you build a relationship like that, you talk about buying a home. He's like, you need to talk to Tyler. Oh, well, like, I would like to own a home. He's like, I said the same shit. Yeah. This guy got 3 years. He dealt with my bullshit to get me a home, you know?
Yeah,
like, because that's
awesome.
how Rob is anyways.
Yeah.
But, it's stuff like that really, that's why I do it, you know? And I tell everybody,
it is very rewarding. And it takes...
You're handing people their dreams.
Yeah. But it takes, the gym, though, when you can commit to that type of a process, then calling somebody every 3 months and touching in and really showing that you care, which I know you do, because you've talked about this gentleman quite a few times. Like, oh, this is what he's doing now. I'm so excited, because I think this time in about 18 months he'll be there, right? And so you stuck with it, and you were just as excited as he was in order for him to get that house. So
and it wasn't a giant house.
It
wasn't a ton, but he did it. And you know what? Give me a couple more years with him, let's upgrade that house for you, bud. You know, like,
He just
and
bought
that's if you want.
like you live in your first rental, right? And
Right.
then so he's got his rental. He's just living in it right now until he can find something else.
Absolutely.
So
You know,
that's
it's
awesome.
It's stuff like that that makes me do any of the things I want to do, like even with lifting. Like you're saying, like in order to lift, you need to trust the process.
Yeah.
Are you going to see results? Not for at least 6 months. Can you be consistent for 6 months, and I will show you results.
Right. Yeah.
Another thing that's hard too, at least in the way that we lift, is I tell everybody, throw away your damn scale.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. I don't own a scale.
Right.
I don't own one, and so every once in a while I'll plop on that one at the gym, and it never really seems to move. So I'm happy about that.
Okay.
But it's like okay, But
Well, I tell everybody to measure your
yeah,
body.
you can tell how you're.
Yeah, because it's interesting. I mean, I'm still almost close to 300 pounds right now.
Good grief, you don't look it, but that's
that's a lot of muscle.
It's a lot of muscle.
And I'm not trying to stroke my ego or whatever. I'm a strong individual. In order to be that strong, you need a certain amount of muscle, and muscle is heavy.
Yes.
It's very heavy. And I mean, I just did, the ab wheels, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So back in the day, I found out you're supposed to do those ab wheels on your toes.
Huh?
Yeah. So you're supposed to stand up, you lean over, put the ab wheel on the ground, and you go all the way to your stomach, and then you come back up to a standing position.
Oh my goodness.
You're not supposed to do it on your knees. That's the beginning movement
Oh
to
my
what
goodness.
you're supposed to do. Right. And so I saw someone do it, and I was like, what the shit are you doing? And I'm like, well, can I do that? No, I could not. It took me 6 months. And then I could do 3 in a row.
Oh my goodness.
So at the
I'm
gym,
gonna try one of those.
I'm teaching these ab rollouts, which is what they're called. So without a wheel, what you do is you take a barbell, you put some plates on, and you do the same movement, but you're able to widen out. So it's easier to do the movement. Now everybody's doing them with their knees, and I'm like, well, this is the beginning movement, and we'll get to toes eventually. And they're like, that's not even possible. I'm like, okay, here. And I just did one in front of them, and everybody's like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, I'm almost 300 pounds.
It's breaking through what's possible, right?
People don't get what their body's so
that's
capable
the
of.
marathon. That's the 4-minute mile rule. That's the things like
It's
some of these
crazy.
things,
Trust the process, because
Yeah.
if someone can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, people don't
tell
know
me
what
you
they're
can't.
people don't know what they're capable of, right? That's
Right.
that's so great in so many other areas of life, and that's
Yeah.
where the benefits that you're getting from your gym translates over into your real estate and coaching and other things. So.
Right. It really helps when we break it down. Well, I don't know. We've done this many times, right? What's your goal for the year?
Yeah.
How many deals does that take? Breaking it down to the day.
Yeah. How many calls do you need to make today?
How many calls do you need to make today?
Who do you need to touch
10.
base with you? Yeah.
You're telling me I make 10 phone calls, 10 good phone calls, and I'll be set for this $300,000 goal?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane. Well, you know what? I'm doing it. And I already have a pending for January. I have 2 for February already, and it's just growing. I have showings. I have a client coming in after this meeting. I have showings after that.
That's awesome.
Like it's just because I'm actually doing the work. Of course, I did a lead system. I took a huge leap, and I'm spending around $1,600 a month. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want to say that out loud. Well, I do also like to have people understand the reality of situations, right? Like that. Like
I didn't know if you wanted to say, but
I spend quite a bit of money on like a lead generation service. It has AI. It has this. I have lenders that are helping me make phone calls. I have set myself up for success. Now, to make good money, you spend good money, right? Like that's what happens if you want to make real money. Now, I'm spending a lot of money because I'm also building a team. So I need a structure that will support more than just me.
Right, yeah.
So that's why I'm doing all what I'm doing at the moment. But it's the same thing with, now this is probably a subject you're not super excited about, but I talk about it quite often on this podcast, which is like steroids.
Oh,
right?
I don't know a lot about steroids, so.
Well, my biggest issue with that is people online, Instagram people, all these other people like, look at my physique. I'm 100% natural. And if you want to look like me, this is the program you do. Fuck you, dude. You're taking steroids.
Yeah.
People don't look like that
Right,
unless you're a genetic freak.
And there's not that many
So you're
genetic freaks
setting
out
these,
there.
you're setting these expectations for human beings.
You know, on the flip side of that, I laugh too at the coaching programs where you see the girl lounging on the side of the pool in a little tiny bikini, and she says, "I grew a $3 million program without cold calls, phone calls, marketing, or doing anything." Like,
Right.
no, you didn't.
Right. No, you didn't. You're either lying or you're
So
selling a
yeah. So why do you have this ad going out right now? Then?
Right. Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, maybe you didn't do all that in real estate. That's because you're spending all your money selling your coaching program that works.
Yeah,
which is the same shit you're going to teach these people. Like, you need to make these phone calls. You need to do all this other shit. Like,
it's getting back to basics.
Success is basic.
Yeah.
People just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You want to lose weight? You eat a caloric deficit. How many calories are you burning in a day versus how many you're eating in a day?
Yeah.
That's what's going to make you lose weight. You want to gain weight? How many calories do you need to gain?
There's switch ups and there's things to do and and whatnot. And so having a lead gen system, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the tickling of the ears of people like, oh, it provides an excuse for people who don't want to do the basics every day. Right. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to spend that, so therefore I don't have the business, which is not true.
It's false, yeah.
You could have the business with the proper activity every single day. You're just ramping it up exponentially through a system that you're purchasing into.
Right. And the thing is, I still am on the phone all day. I get a lead, you know what happens? I call that lead immediately.
What? You pick up the phone?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So the difference is that these are warmer because they've contacted me with questions or something, right? And that's the thing, I'm skipping a certain process. If I made 10 calls a day, 3 of those would end up being warm leads. 3 of those would end up being warm leads. And out of those 3 every single day for 5 days a week, that's 15, right? 15 warm leads. 2 turn hot.
Yeah.
A week. Yeah. That's like the breakdown I've said for myself.
Yeah.
So the difference I'm taking is I'm not making all of these cold calls. These 3 warm leads a day are coming to me, and I'm turning those into the same it's the same system.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I'm excited for your success and watch what you're going to do this year. And really happy to be here with you. I don't know. Is there another question? Where are we at with it?
So right now, we kind of just went over what it takes to be a good coach, how we feel about it, all that other stuff. And, I feel like we hit some really good points. It's about 12:30 right now. I know we both kind of got stuff to do.
Oh, good. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna do a shameless plug. Can we talk about? Okay,
Please
so
do.
I'm super. When what's that saying? When the student is ready, the teacher appears, kind of thing, or whatever. And a huge shout out and thank you to Patty and the people that are in my life, you and that are allowed me to step into where I can get back into real estate and work with people, and most importantly, I can really dive into my coaching company. So it's I hired somebody to help me with a name last year to come up with what name for my company, and after all these many wonderful names from Corazon Leadership to other things, we came up with Locken Leadership and Mindset.
That works.
So anyway, with that being said, the day that I decided that, okay, I'm going to step out of my team leader role, my golden handcuff paid position, and I'm going out on my own, I received an email where I went to school at, and there's this program that they put together for certified coaches called Law of Being. And so it sounds very, very broad and, but it allows me, there's a formula that I take people through, and that there's 7 key areas of life. We talked about working out. So the 7 areas of your life are your physical body, your mental health, family and relationships, your finances and contribution, your career, other relationships, and your spirituality. Okay. Now, being in real estate for 21, 22 years and being in leadership in real estate, the people who I connect with the best are people like you, the leaders, ones who want to develop their leadership skills and touching on those different areas so that you can be the very best leader. But I do have this Law of Being program, and I am looking for participants to go through that. And if you want more information, just hit me up. You can email me at ramona@lockenleadership.com.
Okay.
So love to talk to somebody.
If you text me the info you want in there, I'll plug it into the
Okay.
podcast description as well.
Okay, yeah. It's very powerful. It's a 16-week course, and there's videos, there's a workbook, and one-on-one coaching with me.
Yeah, which again, I highly recommend. I don't recommend a lot of coaches, and it takes a lot for me to put you on that pedestal of calling you a coach, and I definitely have, and I do, for sure. So, so if anyone is interested in, this is mostly real estate based.
The program it could be for anybody.
Okay.
It's not specific just to real estate. It's actually it takes into the account the Energy Leadership Index, and brings in a lot of science. There is research on the happiness advantage, and I mean, it really impacts a person's like people who are more positive in their outlook make more money. They have better relationships. So if you have a better marital relationship or a better spousal relationship, you make more money. So it's
Nice.
like, so it's not specifically for real estate per se, by any means, but because I've been in real estate and I work with so many real estate agents, that's kind of the group that I've, connect with right now.
It became your niche at the moment. Okay.
Yeah. Broker owners or team leads are mine, and I can devise programs to help team leaders with their group, and I work with a lot of lenders in town who invite me in for their group to put on classes for real estate agents.
I went to one of those. Yeah.
I think you did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then some insurance companies too have been reaching out to me because they also work with teams. So
Would that be Tina?
And a
Is
few
she doing
others,
that?
yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah, Tina's awesome.
I love Tina. She's so much fun.
Talk about a positive outlook, and
Right.
there's case in point about what positive energy
And
can do for
if
you.
you want to just hang out with a super fun Greek woman,
Yeah,
you will know she's Greek
You will
almost
know.
immediately.
Right.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
I feel like she is like who would be like that aunt from my Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah,
The one
yeah.
that runs the the travel agency?
Is that
Or
oh
something
my
where she's
goodness,
like
I
super
wonder.
happy and she's like, like just all the time. Like she's gonna be
That's
that lady
Tina.
eventually. She's
That is
definitely
so-
nowhere near that old, right?
No,
She was
she's a
fantastic,
youngin'
too.
still.
Yeah.
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 So
And
awesome.
what was her son's name?
Manoli.
Manoli.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tina Blachos, American Family. Manoli. He's as cute as can be, super high energy. Don't know where he gets it from.
Yeah, who knows, right? God, Tina's amazing. All right, so we'll kind of close out.
Okay.
Again, this is Tyler Toby Townsend.
And Ramona Locken.
All right, and she's coaching. She's fantastic at it. This is the 8th of January. And thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's fun.